Hey everybody, it's been a while since we did a campaign ad reaction, but let's dive into this for the Texas runoff. Now, given Trump already endorsed Paxton, doesn't really seem like it's going to be that competitive, but I've got a couple of ads for each side. Let's watch them and see how they do. This first one is for Ken Paxton. It's a little bit longer, but let's get started.
The senator didn't say who he intends to support, but he did double down on who he believes the Republican Party should not nominate, and that is former President Donald Trump.
Cornyn saying, I think President Trump's time has passed him by. And he adds, I don't think President Trump understands that when you run in a general election, you've got to appeal to voters beyond your base.
President Trump fed that fantasy by repeatedly claiming the election was stolen. The president's actions were reckless.
Do you believe that the president committed impeachable offenses?
I'm going to listen to the what's presented.
It is our responsibility to get to the bottom of what exactly happened due to Russian involvement in our election.
This question of whether there are any ties to the Trump campaign, that's a legitimate area of inquiry, and the committee's engaged in that. It's not a witch hunt.
It is a legitimate area of inquiry.
All right, first of all, Paxton is coming out here swinging. This really sets the tone that Cornyn is just pure establishment. He's not pro-Trump, and he's going to hit him from his right. So far, this is effective for what it's trying to go for. It's got the grainy video, it's got the suspenseful music, it's got the quick cuts and the big text. They haven't even mentioned anything about Paxton yet, but so far, Cornyn doesn't look that great. Let's keep going.
Simply do not take classified documents out of a secure facility. He's created a circumstance for himself, which is, I think, very serious. This one is basically something that he's admitted to with the material facts.
Ms. Monaco is a lifelong public servant. I believe she's well qualified to serve as Deputy Attorney General, and I plan to support her nomination.
I have a lot of admiration and respect for Director Mueller.
John Cornyn of Texas told CBS News he simply doesn't think Donald Trump can get elected president. Quite a statement from Senator Cornyn.
He won't be supporting former President Trump, and neither should other Republicans. You believe the former president's time has passed?
I do.
While Cornyn fought Trump, Ken Paxton has always stood by the president.
He's done a terrific job for Texas and for our country.
Attorney General Ken Paxton, a really great Attorney General.
I'm Ken Paxton, and I approve this message.
All right, almost 2 minutes of Cornyn looking like the villain. It looks like he's pro-Biden. He's anti-Trump. He's a creature of the swamp. Ken Paxton in the last 10 seconds is going to be the alternative. If you're a Republican primary voter, I would say this has to be effective. Unfortunately for Cornyn, he just has a lot of time in office, especially during 2020. And there was a time where it was safer to criticize Trump if you were in office. But now looking back on some of those old clips, it doesn't look good here for Cornyn. Of course, you could always take old clips of anybody and make them look terrible. But I'd say this is a decent ad here from Paxton. Let's go on to the first ad here from Cornyn.
Oh, the riches you'll see. Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton, come gather and see the riches, the houses, the wealth, and the spree. One house, then two, then a whole lot more. Mansions and cabins from shore to shore. 11 fine homes for Ken Paxton to keep. Now Texans ask how that wealth runs so deep. There were LLCs stacked in a tangled up heap, some hidden from sunlight and buried down deep. A shell game of wealth, all twisted from view, built so the people could not follow through. A trust that was blind, or so we were told. Yet somehow, Ken seemed to still know what it holds. If blind means unseen, then one question remains. How did Ken still keep his eyes on the gains? One home claimed primary, then two, then all three. That's not how the rules are supposed to be. 3 different houses, the very same claim. For Ken Paxton, somehow, they all played the game. One affair, then another, then whispers of more, till the marriage gave way and she walked out the door.
Okay, I gotta pause it here because this thing is an absolute snooze. I can't really comment on the substance. There's something about multiple homes, a blind trust, a divorce, but this is just way too long. The music is too loud, and it's not eye-catching or juicy enough to hold my attention. Yeah, there's a bunch of animations and probably more depth here if you look into it, but I gotta say I can't even finish this ad. This is a pure snooze. Let's try a better ad from Cornyn. Here comes his second one.
Remember when overtime didn't always feel like yours? When tips didn't always stay in your pocket? Working families deserved better. That's why Senator John Cornyn passed President Trump's working families tax cuts and delivered the largest tax cuts in history. Whether it's overtime or tips, you keep what you earn. And in Texas, that relief is real, with up to $6,900 more in wages, up to $10,700 more in take-home pay for a family of 4, and 4 million seniors benefiting from no tax on Social Security. It delivered more than $281 million for rural health care in Texas, and extended tax deductions for nearly 390,000 Texas small businesses. That's money back in your pocket and investments back into your communities. Senator John Cornyn and President Trump kept their promise and delivered the largest tax cuts in history because you deserve to keep what you earn.
All right, that was definitely a little bit more exciting, a little better there from Cornyn. Focusing on the basic economics of having more money in your pocket, obviously that's going to be a win, it's going to be relatable. How true are all those things? I'm not really sure. But no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, that's something everybody likes to hear, at least on a quick ad. So this is a couple of steps up from the other one we couldn't even finish. They got regular people in here, even Cornyn is in some of this ad. He's trying to show how effective he is. He's a fighter for Texas. So a much better ad, but it still only has 2 thumbs up here on YouTube. Let's do another one here from Paxton.
President Trump is fighting to protect our nation and stop illegals from voting. But his agenda is on hold because John Cornyn is on spring break. The Save America Act is stalled, and our nation is at risk while he's vacationing. Cornyn skipped town instead of fully funding DHS or working on reconciliation. And Cornyn still won't abolish the filibuster to support Trump, save America, and defend the homeland. Let's give John Cornyn a permanent vacation.
All right, that one again hits Cornyn from the right. He's just shown to be ineffective and not a true patriot like Paxton. Clearly, this ad uses a lot of AI. I can't say I'm a fan of that, even though it's obviously fake. But at the same time, it's a little bit amusing seeing Cornyn going down a water slide, laying on the beach, while the real issues are being passed by. So let's do one more ad here. This is from Cornyn. This is not directly on his channel. I pulled this up from Team Punchbowl News.
Guinea pigs because they're docile. Liberals experiment with our kids for the same reason. The Democrats want to put children under the knife and change their genders before they're old enough to vote. While he was busy cheating on his wife, Ken Paxton's bureaucrats funded woke lab experiments. Paxton gave the Montrose Center in Houston $900,000. The Montrose Center hosts drag queen story hours for children and provides transgender services and resources to kids as young as 7 years old. The Montrose Center doesn't deserve a nickel from taxpayers, but Ken Paxton gave them $900 grand of our money. Mired in scandal, Paxton was too corrupt to keep our kids safe. Ken Paxton and the Montrose Center treated Texas kids like guinea pigs. The tax money to the Montrose Center is documented by our comptroller. Ken Paxton betrayed us.
I'm John Cornyn, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
All right, that one actually looks and feels like a typical campaign attack ad. This time, Cornyn going on the offensive against Paxton on cultural issues, specifically how he funded a center that did some trans studies, and he's just way too woke. So in a sense, this actually comes after Paxton from his right. Again, who knows what's really true in these ads, but as far as the average voter that's going to watch this, I think it hits mostly where he's trying to hit him. I do think it's too long. I think this could have been a 30-second ad instead, because I think they kind of repeated too many of the things in the back half. But Cornyn knows in a Republican primary, these kinds of issues matter. They could even matter some in the general election. Just looking at this ad real quick, I think it's going to get the job done, especially for Cornyn, considering his other ads weren't really as effective as Paxton's. Even if there's more to it, and even if this ad wasn't put out by Cornyn himself. So overall, I think Paxton comes out with the edge, especially the first one. Some of these are too long, but Cornyn, I just think, has too many videos of him looking a little bit mild on Trump. That's not going to cut it in a GOP primary where you've clearly got to be all in on Trump, who's actually back in office. Maybe Cornyn didn't think it would happen, but now it's coming back to haunt him. So that's what we've got here for some ads in this Texas runoff. Looks like it's going to be Paxton pretty comfortably. The general election could be a different story. We'll see what happens, but let me know in the comments. What do you think about these ads for Cornyn and Paxton? Which did you like? Which did you not like? Who had the better ads? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.